morning, everybody, and welcome to our, I'm going to call it the first of the spring series of Coffee and Conversation. You know, when you see the trees budding and the flowers starting to bloom, I just call it spring. So, you know that from an allergy standpoint, some people are also feeling that. So it's spring. And we are very happy to be with you and have all of you join us for Coffee and Conversation today. We've got a great program lined up. I'm really excited about it. But first, I want to just, make a few general announcements. We do miss our friends at the Carolina Theater, where we normally would be hosting our Coffee and Conversation, and we cannot wait until a time that we can be back together in person there. So just know that we think about you, and we are going to head back there when it's safe. So just bear with us. We also want to thank our Coffee and Conversation sponsor for this year, which is Cone Health. And this morning, we have Kiva Elliott with us, who is the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Cone. And Kiva, I'm just going to ask you to welcome everybody and make brief remarks.
Thank you, Deborah. Sponsoring Coffee and Conversations is so aligned with who we are at Cone Health. So I want to thank you for allowing us to be the sponsor for Coffee and Conversations. I first want to say that it is so great to see everybody and get, signing on. I'm like you, I love it when it all comes together and people just start popping in and you get to see people. And I want to take this opportunity to really thank the community for supporting Cone Health during this pandemic. I mean, we have had so much support from businesses, from individuals in the community, just helping our staff and our frontline teams stay encouraged and motivated and really just stepping up. So the community has been awesome. And so I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that today. Another thing that when I think about Coffee and Conversations, I think about the work that we do at Cone Health. And in particular, the work of advancing the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It all starts with a conversation. And we are doing everything we can do to help remove the barriers of people not wanting to have a conversation because it's uncomfortable or, that's just not who they are. So we are working really hard to make sure that people are comfortable having conversations. We are embracing uniqueness and celebrating it. And so I just love this platform that you all have created here at the Chamber to allow people to come together and become aware of other people and network and just build relationships, because that's what it's all about. That's where it starts and ends, is with relationships. So I am looking forward to learning more from Family Forward North Carolina, because they are really focused on helping with flexible options for people, because that's always important as you're thinking about creating the space for employees or for families. And you got to make sure that you're being flexible and learning all that you can about the opportunities. So I'm looking forward to the program. Thank you again for allowing us to sponsor this event. And I will turn it back over to you, Deborah.
All right, Kiva, thank you so much. And let me just say, we thank all of you at Cone Health for helping us get through this pandemic. And also, you guys have set up an amazing vaccination process in partnership with Guilford County Public Health. I actually went there on site at the Coliseum with my parents to help them. And I was just blown away by how organized and efficient, but most importantly, how kind everyone was and was so helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I also want to thank our Circle of Champions partners who help support all the programming of the Greensboro Chamber throughout the year. Our platinum sponsors are a Legacy Federal Credit Union, Cone Health, Lincoln Financial Group, Truist, Truliant Federal Credit Union, and VF Corporation. Our gold sponsor is Novant Health, and silver is Kelly Office Solutions, Ralph Lauren, Staunton Capital, and Wake Forest Baptist Health. And we thank all of our champions within the circle who help support our programming. I also want to remind everyone that we have a digital drawing today. And if you would like to text the word PERK, P-E-R-K, to numbers 55678 and fill out that registration. We're going to put instructions in the chat room, and our prize today is a $25 gift certificate from one of our local Greensboro restaurants. And so again, it's a way for us to help support our local restaurants. They've had a really tough time, and we want to continue to be able to do that. I want to share with you all, since our last coffee and conversation where we talked about how the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce has literally declared 2021 the year of small business, we've continued to be very intentional and hard at work to help figure out what we need to be doing to continue to help our small businesses. You know, it's great that everyone is getting, you know, an opportunity on a timeline to get a vaccination if they want one. And I think there's a lot of optimism that's in our community right now. People are feeling better. And in fact, I saw a national survey, some results yesterday that supported this, that small business owners are feeling more optimistic that everything's going to be okay. But we've been hosting some intentional focus groups, and one of those was with restaurants. And they actually told us that they have been especially concerned about their team members. And so I think today's program is really going to speak to how this particular initiative can help support small businesses and smaller organizations, including nonprofits, to be more family friendly, more supportive of team members. And so we have Lisa Finaldi, who is the community engagement leader with the North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation. And Family Forward NC is a particular initiative that I will tell you the Greensboro Chamber has learned ourselves how to put more family-friendly policies in place, and we greatly appreciate the work that they're doing. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to share more about how they are being supportive of small businesses and nonprofits in North Carolina. So Lisa, take it away.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with everyone this morning. And I especially wanted to thank both Cone Health and the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce. We have, you've hosted us a few different times. We've talked to the Manufacturing Council and maybe another, several of us. And so I just wanted to thank you and also congratulate you on your paid leave policy that I believe was put into place sometime last year. Time seems to get very confused during COVID, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. So congratulations on that. It's terrific to hear about it. So today we're going to just take a few minutes to talk about how family-friendly workplace policies are good for your business. They support your employees, and they're also supporting the future workforce, which are young children here in North Carolina. It's also about how your business can move through COVID and be more resilient moving forward. So on the next slide, I'll just tell you that the initiative is supporting workplace productivity, recruitment, retention, and that strong economy. And so that's why we call it business smart, family friendly, and future ready. Next slide. So you might be asking, why is it part of my job to support children's health and well-being as a business person? Well, my organization is focused on ensuring that more children are reading on grade level by the end of third grade. And that end of third grade test, for many of you who are parents, No, there's a lot riding on that test, and it is a predictor of children's academic and career success. And in North Carolina, only 36% of our students are reading on grade level by the end of third grade. And you also see ACT scores having an impact because of those third grade reading scores. So we believe that everyone can support children. Families, of course, are first, parents are first, but also the community and the workplace can play an important role. Next slide. So before we get started, I wanted to ask everyone to take a minute and just use the chat box to tell us a little bit about a particular challenge that you may be having with employees in your workplace, something general, but we'd like to hear a little bit about what those challenges are or how you're trying to work through some of these issues. It could have been before COVID, during COVID, but let's just take a minute to use the chat and hear from you. Okay, so it looks like people are a little shy today. But here, we have a couple coming up. Okay, well, you can continue to jot those into the chat. It's helpful for us to understand a little bit about your needs so we can be more responsive. And I'll also mention that today's program is about small businesses, but we have also a program that is distinctly for manufacturing and also for hospitality. And we'd love to work with anyone in those industries. So today specifically, we'll be talking about how you can emerge from the crisis with a strategic advantage, how employees will come back not only more quickly, but also more fully in that they will be present if they know that they are supported and their family is supported through workplace policies, and build that resilience in your business as we see that family-friendly workplaces really do retain talent, they attract people, and it can really make a difference to the future of your business, not just the present. So with that, on the next slide, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the project, and that we have a consulting team who are HR experts in different industries. And today we're gonna hear from Amy Rawls. And Amy has been working with us for several months now to build a program and to support business leaders across North Carolina, as I said, in manufacturing, hospitality, and the small business program is new. And so Amy's gonna really tell you in more detail about the program and how we can help you specifically. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Lisa. Everyone can hear me? Yes, great. All right, so I want to start with this notion that becoming a more family-friendly business, and that could be going from not family-friendly at all or somewhat family-friendly to wherever you aspire to be, is not only kind and supportive to families, it's good business, it's strategic business. So what we can do in partnership with you is help evaluate where you currently sit with your family friendliness, and then help you to consider ideas that may work for your business and work for your team that maybe you haven't considered yet, or you don't quite know how it would work in practice. And then we can partner together to help create a plan by which you can implement a few new ideas or one new idea. So that's kind of the overall goal. So why is this considered future ready from our perspective? Well, the workforce has changed pretty dramatically in just a few years, and already millennials make up the majority of the workforce today. And they have different priorities about work. They have a lot of the same priorities we've all had all along, but they do have some new priorities and new ways of thinking about what work offers to them and what work can offer their family. So we know that that work-life balance, that elusive, magical work-life balance, is a high priority for this group of workers. And in the last year, that's become an even higher priority than it already was, and also more challenging with new demands at home, in addition to their workplace requirements. So we know that they will leave a job to get that work-life balance they want. We also know that 77% of workers today said that a flexible schedule will allow them to produce more for the company. So I don't know that all business leaders have seen that in practice yet, but maybe last year has given them that opportunity to say, no, people don't go home and start playing on the Xbox and folding their laundry all day. They do work, and they do a lot of it. And there is the flip side to that, which is we have to take care of them because they're giving us more than ever. And how do we support them and support what they need at home and for their families? So at the end of the day, this is also strategic in that family-friendly benefits can help you address some of those main contributing factors to the turnover you may be seeing in your organization. So small business is all about people. I think we can all acknowledge that if we spent time in that small business space. It's one of the things I love about partnering with small businesses. And our employees have new needs, and they're emerging in 3 key areas. First is additional, need for childcare and caregiver support. There's also additional growing needs for access to paid leave. And then, as I mentioned a bit earlier, just that need for flexibility and perhaps sometimes even a reduced work schedule. So we're going to talk a little bit here about how these things can impact not only our team members, but again, help us drive forward as a business. So we'll start with that child care and caregiving support. Many working parents across the country have put the brakes on their careers to some extent. And these are probably not even the most current numbers because every week there's more information about this, but about a quarter of all working parents have voluntarily reduced their hours, and about 15% have quit work entirely. And I will say that this is impacting working mothers more so than anyone else. So we're losing a lot of working mothers out of the workforce right now. And even before COVID hit, 99 out of North Carolina's 100 counties were considered infant and toddler child care deserts. So this crisis, this pandemic, has almost amplified an already problematic area in terms of how we're supporting our workforce, in that it was very difficult to find affordable, reliable childcare before this, and now it's even harder. So just something to keep in mind. Before COVID, 45% of parents missed work at least once in a 6-month period due to difficulties finding child or caregiver support. And each time that happened, it was an average of about 4 days of lost work. So breakdowns in childcare really do impact your business in a very direct way. And then finally, if you're able to provide some support to working parents in your organization through child care support, it can give you a great return in terms of that reduction in turnover of anywhere between 37 and 60%. So these are kind of some of the rationale for considering improving or adding a child care benefit of some sort to your benefits. Access to paid leave. So especially right now, I think one of the main considerations for businesses should be, how can we ensure that we're providing paid leave to people when they are sick or when someone they provide care to is sick? Again, strategic for the business, because we know it will harm our business if COVID shows up in our place of work, especially if we're client or customer facing. So just a few stats here. On average, US workers get 8 days of paid sick leave. Now, this is very industry specific. As you know, perhaps as owners of small business, you may not be able to provide this benefit quite yet. And then in certain industries, it's even a lower benefit or no benefit at all. But on average, workers get about 8 days for a whole year. And as you know, if you get quarantined for COVID, you're out for 10 to 14 days. So I just want to highlight that. Certain groups of workers have less access. So Hispanic workers, we know, have significantly less access to paid leave. Other types of leave beyond sick that are in high demand and that are good things to consider as businesses are parental leave, family leave, caregiver leave, or emergency leave. These are all great things to offer that provide those additional layers of support for people as they deal with their lives and try to work. And then finally, we know that workers and their families will recover more quickly from illness, injury, disability, if they have paid time off to focus on getting well or helping their loved one get well. And instead of focusing on how do I juggle all these balls and keep them in the air. Thirdly, we want to talk about flexibility and the opportunity to provide a reduced schedule for those who need it. As strange as it may sound for me to say that reduced schedule or additional flexibility help people engage more fully, it is absolutely true that if you can find that right balance, focus where you need to focus, when you need to focus there, you will have a more engaged workforce, and they'll be more loyal to you for being flexible and helping them meet the needs that they have across their entire lives, not just in the workplace. So we know family and home demands are taking priority for some people over their work. That's why we see those stats about people leaving the workplace, particularly working parents. About 40% of parents say they've left a job because it lacked flexibility. 40% of working parents said they've left a job because it lacked flexibility. You know, a lot of times we think about flexibility in terms of remote work, but remember that many people don't have access to telework or remote working. So there are other ways to get creative about this from a scheduling perspective, or reduced schedule, or temporarily just changing those requirements. And then we know that schedule flexibility will increase productivity and decrease absenteeism, which is obviously a win for your business, keeping the machine running. So what can we do to help you? We can kind of be your partner and your guide through this. As I said, I would expect that everyone on the call is at a different point in terms of how family friendly the business already is. But from wherever you are right now, we can help you imagine a future where you're more family friendly. So we provide the workplace guide on the family friendly, our Family Forward North Carolina website. And then we also have developed, as Lisa mentioned, this rapid response program. And I'll talk a little bit more about that now. So again, just high level view, what would we provide either from the perspective of our resources that we've built, or in one-to-one business counseling if you elect that. Again, we'll talk through these ideas and see what's really feasible and smart for your business, whether that's paid leave, a new imagining of the schedules that you provide for people, additional well-being benefits, childcare benefits, and how do we make the accommodations needed in the workplace to, again, come through this crisis more resilient, stronger than ever, if that's possible for us. In our program, we would partner with you to provide no-cost support and resources. We have 3-part webinar series. And that, again, talks a little bit more in depth through the ways that becoming more family-friendly will help you to emerge more strategically, open faster if you've been closed for a while, or bring back your employees fully engaged, ready to go. And then to create that culture where people have returned and feel safe and want to stay with you for a while. And that requires, a culture of ongoing safety and support for both the families and the workers. We also have a return to work kit, which is a companion guide for these webinars. Again, an opportunity to go deeper in terms of reflection and practice the ideas that we've surfaced in the webinar series. And then again, you can apply for a no-cost one-to-one business consulting with someone on my team to help you take ideas into action. This is just the front page of one of our return to work kits. What these allow you to do, and these will be available to you after this webinar series, I believe, is it helps you really, again, reflect on where your business is, imagine where you'd like it to go, and has some tools for kind of self-study and self-guidance to see how you can set in motion some changes to your benefits that can be done relatively quickly and at low cost, and help you create a plan to offer additional benefits later. So what does it look like to work with us? Well, you can learn a lot about this if you go to the Return to Work page shown here. And then if you'd like to, explore the idea of working one-to-one with us, let us know. You'll tell us about what's going on in your business briefly, answer a few questions, and then we'll be back in touch with you to see if we can work together. And then if we do engage in that one-on-one business consulting, we will work together to understand the current state of family friendliness in your workplace, look at some best practices, what's going on in your industry, try to identify those early wins that help you be more competitive, obviously, but also help alleviate some of the pain points your current team is facing. And then we'll try to prioritize the improvements we might come up with. We understand not everything can happen at one time, so it's okay to have a plan to get there over time. And then set goals and really thinking out beyond this crisis, beyond this pandemic, how can we be the workplace we want to be for our teams and for their families? And then we'll create an implementation plan, keeping in mind, again, those prioritized goals and our budget. And then we're always available to partner with teams after this, if that would be something of interest. So I just want to lift up a few examples to let you know that this is possible in the small business arena. I know it can be daunting to think, how could I become more family friendly or invest in this now with all the other priorities I'm balancing as a business owner? But other businesses have gone before you and they've made it happen. Here are a few examples of some of the businesses Family Forward North Carolina has guided in this direction. So you can learn more, and I hope that you will. Here's the website and some tips to follow us on social media and get connected with some of the great ideas being generated in this space and by Family Forward North Carolina in particular. And I will leave this sponsor guide up, or slide, I should say.